around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please.
Is that it?
No.
Do you have the intro paper? He's in the other room, isn't he?
Hey, Rick. Do you have that intro paper? Not that I could see. Is it under the...
Oh, it is underneath this. Okay, sorry. There we go.
The time is 10 a.m.
Thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Noah, and I'm here with Shiloh. We invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kHz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
Coordinated social media attacks follow Missouri's $24 billion judgment versus China. An article by Jason Hancock, Missouri Independent. A week after Missouri's Attorney General Catherine Hanaway announced plans to seize $24 billion worth of assets owned by China as compensation for COVID-19, the online hate started pouring in. Hundreds of posts on X, formerly known as Twitter, in late November began questioning the Attorney General's competence and character, honing in on her defense of Missouri's gerrymandered congressional map and crackdown on intoxicating hemp products. She should be impeached and dismissed from position as Attorney General, one post declared. But according to investigators at the social media analytics company Graphica, the attacks were not an organic reaction to a high-profile and controversial announcement. Instead, researchers found they were a coordinated campaign, likely originating in China and conducted by fake accounts. A network of 105 inauthentic pro-China X accounts were involved, according to Margaret Hardy, the Graphica intelligence analyst who was involved in the research and an expert in Chinese influential operations. About half of the accounts were created in November and December, many displaying gaming or animation-related profile pictures, have few or no followers, and use randomly generated account handles. Graphica has studied this type of activity before, Hardy said, but most of the time it targets people who are dissidents of China or exiles in the U.S. This is interesting because we don't often see China-linked or pro-China actors targeting specific U.S. individuals at a local level, Hardy said, which is something rather more sophisticated. So that's why we are reported on this activity. Posted activity dropped sharply on weekends and during the Golden Week holiday in early October that celebrates the founding of the People's Republic of China. The timing of the post during the workday, Hardy said, signals that they are likely a commercial actor behind the campaign and that the network is likely based in China. The accounts in the network have shared other pro-China positions, such as calling for lifting bans in Huawei, the Chinese tech company banned in the U.S. out of concern its equipment could be used for espionage. Some accounts previously engaged in other coordinated campaigns in the late November that portrayed the U.S. as a scam-friendly nation and an empire of espionage. Several posts misused pronouns referring to Hanaway as he and misspelled her name as Kathleen Hanaway or Hanawi, suggesting that possible use of auto-translated tools to produce the content. This activity, Hardy said, demonstrates how pro-China actors respond to criticism of Beijing or calls for COVID-19 accountability by attempting to discredit those individuals. We are not threatened by online trolls from China and remain underrated in our efforts to seize Chinese assets. Hanaway said in an email to the Independent, Missourians deserve justice. In late 2020, the state of Missouri sued China for the country's handling of the coronavirus outbreak. In March, U.S. District Judge Stephen Lambeau awarded Missouri $24 billion after China did not defend itself in the lawsuit. In his ruling, Lambeau wrote that China concealed the true nature of COVID-19 so it could stockpile protective gear that could limit the spread of the virus. He found that Missouri lost tax revenue due to the pandemic and will experience a long-term loss of revenue as well, accepting the state's that $8 billion estimate for the period of 2020 to 2051. He added the state's increased cost for protective gear, estimated at $123 million due to the hoarding, and tripled the amount to set the final judgment. The judgment is against the Chinese government, the Communist Party of China, several national agencies, provincial and local governments around Wuhan, and the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Hanaway has formally asked the U.S. State Department to notify China that the state intends to pursue assets with the full or partial Chinese government ownership to satisfy the judgment. The Attorney's General Office is also assembling a list of Chinese properties that could be targeted with a focus on properties wholly owned by Chinese government or by companies in which the Chinese government has a stake. China owes Missourians $24 billion, Hanaway said. The People's Republic of China is answerable to the extraordinary harm it inflicted on our citizens and our economy. Liu Pengwei, spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C., said in an email statement last month that China policies and measures during the pandemic were acts of national sovereignty and are not subject to jurisdiction of U.S. courts. China will not pay, Pengwei says, and will retaliate if necessary. The campaign of pro-China attacks on Hanoi appear to have petered out, Hardy said. This network activity does not appear to have gained organic transaction on X, and Graphica did not find that the network branched out other than social media platforms. A possible rational explanation for the campaign could be that her remarks were reported in the region, Hardy said, or it could be that there were specific Chinese state media coverage that triggered this. But for sure, it is not typical to see this level of involvement at a local level targeting a specific U.S. official.
Nixa moves forward with plans for skate park trails on Century Farm. Nixa City Council approved a 5-year capital improvement plan with funding budgeted to begin early work on 2 long-discussed park projects, the Eoff Family Century Farm Park and a new skate park. Both projects received earmarks of $250,000 in the CIP December 9th. Nixa's director of Parks and Recreation, Matt Krause, said the city will put out a bid for a contractor to begin developing the farm park after January 1st. The skate park is still in its early design phase. Members of the Eoff family donated 105 acres of farmland to Nixa and 2 roughly even parcels split by Ginn Road. The city acquired one portion of the land in 2018 and another in 2020, according to records from the Christian County Assessor's website. Nixa has several amenities planned for the north half of the property, including a trail system and a possible future event venue and river access. Krause hopes the trail will someday connect to the Ozark Greenways system in Greene County. The park may be open to the public with a walking trail completed in 2026. It will start off fairly low-key, but the idea of getting people on the property is the most exciting part, Krause said. The off-century farm belonged to the family since the 1880s, according to Krause. 2 brothers from the family donated the property on the condition that it would become a park. Additionally, the city must preserve 2 structures on the site, a barn and a house, or build the structures back in likeness, according to the family's wishes. Records from the Christian County Assessor's site indicate that the barn was constructed nearly 100 years ago, in 1927. There's still a lot of debate and a lot of ideas of what we could do with that space, whether the barn becomes more of an event center or if it could just be built back as an open-air pavilion, Krause said. The Parks Department plans to open the site with a walking trail in 2026. The department has planned about 1 linear mile of trail for the park. There will also be benches, picnic tables, and about 35 to 40 parking spaces on a gravel lot. In total, Krause estimated that developing the Eoff Family Century Farm Park could cost between $15 to $20 million and take over a decade to build out. Eoff Family Century Farm Park's walking trail will pass through forested land bordered by a section of James River. Ozark Greenway's Ward Branch Greenway and Kansas Extension Multi-Use Path terminate on the other side of the river, roughly 1 mile northwest of the Century Farm. Ben Tegler, executive director for Ozark Greenways, said Nixa's new park presents an opportunity for the city to connect to walking trails in Greene County. That's the vision I see, Tegler said. It's an idea that makes a lot of sense, and it's worth exploring. The Ozark Transportation Organization's interactive online map shows that in the future, Ozark Greenways plans to build trails following the James River and Farm Road 141 into Christian County. The biggest obstacle is the river. How are you going to get across or get through the river, Krause said. That will be one thing that we have to tackle at some point on how we can connect up there. Developing a plan and having, some ideas on how to do that will be the big plan moving forward. Ozark Greenways does not have a current plan or funding in place to achieve this. However, Tegler said there is a precedent of crossing the major waterway and other Ozark Greenways developments. The vision is that we'd connect Nixa to the greater system, Tegler said. He referenced the Chadwick Flyer Trail development that will someday link neighboring Ozark to Springfield. Nixa's 5-year CIP also designates $250,000 toward launching the development of a skate park. Krause said some members of the Nixa community first approached the city about this project in the early 2000s. There was a skate park committee made up of community citizens that really wanted a place for kids to skate and things in town. He said, "They did some fundraisers. There were several grants written. The city did not receive any of those grants, and Krause said the energy around the project slowed down over the years. However, there is still a desire for a skate park in the city. Nixa is now in the very early design phase of a skate park, according to Krause. Rotary Park on McCroskey Street is being considered as the future site. The idea is to remove a small playground and sand volleyball pit to make room for the skate park. Krause said the city would construct a new volleyball pit at Nixa's Community Center. The site of the Rotary Park lends itself to the design of an L, or kidney bean-shaped skate park, Krause said. It would be above ground and could be as big as 60 by 100 feet in dimension."
Missouri State versus Arkansas State Football X-Bowl score predictions by Wyatt D. Wheeler. A historic night for Missouri State football. It's almost here, and it will play in its first bowl game as an FBS member when it takes the field in Frisco, Texas. Missouri State and Arkansas State will play in the X-Bowl in the Ford Center and at the Star in Frisco at 8 p.m. on Thursday, December 18th. The game will be televised nationally on ESPN2. The Bears, in their first FBS season as a Conference USA member, are bowling after finishing a 7-5. They will be without Coach Ryan Beard, who departed the program to be the head coach at Coastal Carolina. Offensive coordinator Nick Petrino will serve as the team's interim head coach. Arkansas State is no stranger to bowl games, making its third straight under Coach Butch Jones. The Red Wolves went 6-6 and had to beat Appalachian State with the game-winning touchdown with 42 seconds left in the regular season final to clinch the bowl eligibility. This will mark the first matchup between Bears and the Red Wolves since 2015, when the Bears lost 70-7 in their third game under former coach Dave Steckel. MSU is a 1-3 state against Arkansas State all-time, and the two will meet in a non-conference play in 2027 and 2028. Who to watch for the Missouri State versus Arkansas State? Despite being without their head coach, Missouri State should be plenty motivated as it heads into the historical night. The Bears have played in bowl games before as a M1AA member, appearing in the Mocan Bowl 1948 and the Mineral Water Bowl 1963 and 1966. So yeah, this one's a little different. Jacob Clark will make his final appearance as Missouri State's quarterback, owning almost every passing record in the school's history. He would probably have all of them if he hadn't set out one whole game with an injury this season. On the other side, it hasn't been the best season for the Red Wolves, but they've found a way to get into the postseason. As a familiar opponent, Arkansas State lost to Kennesaw State 28-21 in September, when the Owls beat the Bears 41-34 in Georgia on November 22nd. Arkansas State has been within striking distance in every game it's played this year, except for its early season loss to Arkansas. Jones, the former Tennessee coach from 2013 to 2017, has won 5 of his last 6 bowl games. This season was a step back for the Red Wolves, who went 8-5 a year ago. Missouri State versus Arkansas State scouting report. Why Missouri State has an advantage. Arkansas State's pass defense isn't great, and Missouri State has arguably its best quarterback in the program history playing in his final game. Clark has thrown for 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 2,895 yards this season, and has a solid weapon to throw to in Robinson the Dash Luke. The grand game can also have a good day, with Lawrence just 36 yards shy of breaking 1,000 rushing yards for the season. He would become the 11th player in MSU history to do so. Romaine Green Jr. also provides a punch, as he's shown the ability to maybe become the Bears' starting running back in 2026. Defensively, it will be interesting to see how the Bears look without Beard, leading pass rusher DJ Welslock in portal bound, which would hurt if he doesn't play. The linebacker has been fantastic in 2025, led by Jalen Brooks and Mr. Young and Jared Lloyd. A difference maker could be in the secondary, when Arkansas State tends to throw the ball to the wrong team. Jordan Dunbar and Thomas Anderson could have some opportunities. Why Arkansas State might have the advantage. The Red Wolves have been here before, qualifying for their 3rd consecutive bowl under Jones. They have won the 68 Ventures Bowl last season, 38-31 over Bowling Green. Where Arkansas State has thrived has been in its passing game, averaging 257 yards per game, which ranks 3rd in Sun Belt. Quarterback Jalen Rayner has been in the program, started for 3 seasons, and is a threat with his legs. Receiver Corey Rucker was a second-team All-Sun Belt performer. Defensively, the Red Wolves are good at getting after the quarterback. They give up a lot of yards, but they rank 3rd in the Sun Belt in sacks. Defensive lineman DeMarcus Hendricks was the first-time All-Belt performer, sacking the quarterback 6 times. Corey Sigler was on the second team with 3 sacks. This could be a factor. Missouri State is without offensive linemen who intended to transfer. Missouri State will also have to beware return specialist Concy Cobb, who averages 28 yards per return and also took 2 kicks to the house with this season. Missouri State versus Arkansas State score predictions. Missouri State 27, Arkansas State 24.
Springfield City Council unanimously initiates eminent domain against the Hotel of Terror. Springfield City Council unanimously called upon its power of eminent domain to acquire the Hotel of Terror at 334 North Main Avenue at its Monday night meeting on December 15th. The city has attempted to purchase the 47-year-old haunted house attraction for years as part of a plan to replace the Main Avenue Bridge, which staff say poses significant safety concerns. Negotiations have failed, with the city unwilling to offer more than $2 million, while the owner Sterling Mathis has asked for $3.5 million in order to pay to move the business to the Dungeons of Doom and comply with all the city's code requirements. December 15th, all 9 council members voted in support of initiating the eminent domain process. No one commented on the matter ahead of the vote. Now that the ordinance is passed, a 30-day clock starts ticking on the option to appeal the legislative action. Mathis confirmed that he plans to collect signatures for a referendum, something he successfully accomplished the first time in 2023. Per city charter, he needs to collect a valid number of valid signatures from registered Springfield voters equal to or greater than 10% of the total number of persons voting in the last general municipal election in April. Based on a recent referendum attempt, that number comes to 1,499 signatures. If Mathis collects enough signatures, council will have the option to either repeal the ordinance as it did in 2023 or send the issue to voters. At the time of the earlier referendum, the council included a different slate of members than it does today. Should the matter go forward to eminent domain proceedings, a court-appointed 3-member commission would weigh all evidence, appraisals, and other documents to come up with what they believe to be a fair price. From there, either party could appeal and take it to a jury trial to determine the price instead. The city has said the decision to use eminent domain addresses 2 main goals: to replace a nearby bridge before safety concerns worsen and to alleviate flooding in downtown Springfield. The Hotel of Terror sits adjacent to the bridge, which has been flagged for replacement for more than a decade, with any further deterioration resulting in the need to close the bridge. The bridge crosses across Jordan Creek, which has seen historical flooding problems in downtown Springfield. Replacement of the bridge would also alleviate what city staff called a pinch point in the city's efforts to reduce flooding. The proposed replacement bridge would include a 2-way bicycle path and an ADA-compliant sidewalk. When council held a public hearing on the matter, several professionals Mathis had engaged throughout negotiations validated his asking price, and supporters of the Springfield Halloween staple called for the local business owner to be justly compensated and supported in his efforts to rebuild the Halloween attraction.
Willard business faces uncertain future after shopping center's sales. Marta Miez. One of the main shopping centers in Willard houses businesses of all kinds, a beloved coffee shop, insurance agencies, a gym, medical services, and unique retail. But come the new year, the East Center at 304 East Jackson Street is likely to see significant turnover in the local businesses that occupy the space. After the property recently changed hands, business owners have reported hikes in rent. They say they can't afford to absorb for a space in a small town like Willard. Some businesses have already announced plans to shut their doors, while others say they are reviewing options. With Willard already a tight market for commercial property, retailers say that the town is at risk of losing some of the options to shop and find services locally. Concerns of becoming a ghost town. The In-N Outlet, a discount bin retailer, has been open for business less than a year, but by Christmas it will shut its doors and no longer offer Willard shoppers a spot to hunt for the hottest bargains. Store manager Christopher Stewart said business owners were not aware the property even was for sale or had been sold until they start seeing representatives around the property and received letters from the new management. Nearby business owners said rents were expected to jump significantly, up to 4 or 5 times the current amount. For the in and outlet, this would turn a $3,000 monthly payment into a $12,000 one. Stewart says they were also asked to enter into a 5-year agreement with a 9-month notification period if they decide to leave. I can't speak for the other businesses, but from what we've discussed, everyone is assuming that we're all moving out of here because no one's willing to pay 3 or 4 times. He said, "My assumption is that this place is going to be a ghost town." Lacey Wilson has had her Bright Side Counseling Service practice at the East Center since early 2020. With her lease up at the end of December, she is weighing her options, but said she is unlikely to remain at the Willard Shopping Center due to the expected rent increase. "This was my dream to work independently and, serve my hometown," Wilson said. "In the 5 years, even just working part-time, I'm guessing I've helped at least 150 people. This is taking mental health services away from the community." With notice of the new management coming in November and facing her own family emergencies, Wilson said she still needed time to wrap up her practice with her clients and is the ethical thing to do. While she acknowledged that she is fortunate to have the option as a therapist to continue her work remotely through telehealth, she said there is a need for in-person mental health services in a small community surrounding Springfield. "I mean, my office survived COVID. It will survive this," Wilson said. "I don't fully want to go telehealth just because it's just not what I intended. I intended to help community." Now, new owners say rent prices have fallen behind market rates. The 5.7 acre shopping center was sold on November 5th to 304 East Jackson LLC and others. According to the Greene County Assessor's Office database, their property was appraised for $2.4 million by the county. The LLC is registered to Jack Rankin, an associate advisor at SVN Rankin Company, a Springfield-based commercial real estate brokerage firm. According to the Missouri Secretary of State Business Database, SVN has already listed some of the retail space that will be vacated by current businesses in the new year. The firm's website lists the East Center retail space for $10.50 to $12 a year per square foot of space. In an email statement, Rankin said ownership has valued open dialogue with tenants and has transparent about its plans to update the rented space in common areas and bring rent prices up to market rates. He noted that the end goal is to find a happy medium that works for everyone involved. "Our goal has been and remains to keep rent on the lower end of the market while giving tenants the runaway they need to adjust." The statement read, "We're genuinely invested in the success of every business at East Center. Like any business, the economics need to be sustainable. No business sells its products or services at a 75% discount, nor can ownership pay 2025 real estate prices while collecting 2010 rents. The numbers simply don't work." Business owners noted that the communications have largely come from the Wooten Company, which is managing the East Center after the sale. Wooten could not be reached for comment, hoping for additional commercial space. While the situation at East Center is a private business exchange with the city unable to pay a roll, Willard City Administration Wes Young said it was disheartening to see local businesses struggle with decisions to close. "Obviously, Willard needs more commercial, not less," he said, "so the idea of potentially losing a significant part of our commercial base was very troubling. And a lot of these people, they are our friends, and they are our neighbors, and we don't want them to suffer." When the In and Outlet moved into the space in the late 2024, it had to invest significantly to make the space work for the retail model, including widening doorways to accommodate larger pallets. Stewart said that the kind of space with a loading dock and the other features needed for pallet store is simply not available elsewhere in Willard. Wilson said it's also harder to find alternative business space when so many potential businesses are looking to move at the same time. Young said 2 developers have expressed interest in developing more commercial space in Willard. Last week, Young said he brought together those implicated by the East Center changes and the developers in hopes of connecting the dots and offering different options besides closure or moving away from Willard. He said the city will play its role by moving as quickly as it can to issue permits and ensure developers can build quickly. With significant investments in progress planned for infrastructure and growth, from sewer connection to road projects, Young said he is hopeful the businesses are able to stick around and will see prosperous times ahead. Building still takes time, and Stewart was skeptical that a new build will charge any less in rent than a building that has been around since the 1980s. With the higher prices, he said there is a concern that only national large chains will be able to afford to move in. We'll get national chains out here, and so we'll end up with, a Whataburger or a Starbucks or whatever, and we'll become yet another cookie-cutter corporate town that'll lose all of its identity, Stewart said. It'll be nice, homogenized mess out here. The city administrator agreed that retaining and supporting local businesses owners was paramount for a well-rounded community. From the city's perspective, as I say, we will welcome any business that is willing to come here. But as a community, I really think we lose something by not trying to find ways to support our local business.
Missouri cities confront cross-border drop-offs of homeless people. For years, stories circulated around Joplin about the city's homeless population and how they arrived in the city. Calls would come in to city officials following a reoccurring theme. People were coming to the city council meetings and saying, "I don't know why you guys don't know this, but I'm witnessing bus loads of people being dropped off in our town," said Mayor Keenan Cortez. "Buses are coming in, stopping at gas stations, unloading, and the buses are turning around and going back." The city commissioned a study to investigate, but it came back with no hard evidence. Still, the reports kept coming in, so the city took a deeper look. Officials collected video evidence of out-of-state law enforcement vehicles dropping people off at truck stops. Some medical systems seemed to be involved too. They also gathered signed affidavits from people who were new to Joplin, saying they were given promises of a shelter bed or resources at the end of their ride. We were starting to hear from people in our community that I was brought to Joplin and just dropped off. I was in trouble over there. That community didn't deal with me. They put me in a car, a van, a bus, and said, "There's help for you," Cortez said. Instead, they were left without their support system in a new city with limited resources and few places to turn. Cortez said city officials aren't sure how many people shared similar stories. "At the end of the day, I don't know if it was 15, if it was 50, Cortez said. "As a mayor, it doesn't matter." Joplin officials put their heads together with the city's legal team. After sending cease and desist letters to the organizations they believed were dropping people off in the city council started considering legislation to ban the practice. The city council passed an ordinance at the beginning of November. It isn't uncommon for medical systems to refer patients needing specialized treatment or for victims of domestic violence to be sent to a shelter in another town. The ordinance includes exemptions for those situations. So far, Cortez and city officials think the letters and new ordinance appear to be working. They haven't had any reports of people being dropped off since the ordinance was passed. But the trend points to a larger problem Missouri cities are facing as homelessness rises across the state. Missouri's reliance on larger cities for services for the homeless population. It is fairly common for smaller rural areas to rely on the services in larger cities for things like shelters, medical care, or mental health treatment. From 2023 to 2024, the number of unsheltered people grew 9% in Missouri, according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development point-in-time counts. In Kansas, the number grew by 6%, while Oklahoma saw an 18% jump. Columbia is similar to Joplin when it comes to being a regional hub for services and shelter beds. Columbia began working more closely on reducing homelessness in 2023 by establishing a program within Boone County's Department of Public Health to connect people with resources. City officials also created a homelessness outreach team with the police department to try and divert people from the justice system. Now the city has launched the Ride Home program, which gives homeless or impoverished community members free rides back to their hometowns or to support systems up to 3 hours away. If someone needs to travel farther, the city will purchase a bus ticket to get them to where they need to go. Since the launch in October, the city has provided 3 rides, said Austin Crone, Public Information Specialist at Columbia and Boone County Department of Public Health and Human Services. People come in for mental health services or if there is a facility that can only do a certain type of screening for them. People are coming here from all over Missouri to get services, and they're stuck here. Local service providers and shelters can refer people to the program to receive a free ride. People must have verifiable support at the destination, a referral, photo ID, and no outstanding warrants in the county. Studies have shown that the voluntary transport to a support system can be instrumental in improving somebody's housing situation. San Francisco runs a robust transportation program similar to Ride Home in Columbia. In fiscal year 2024, the agency that runs the program gave 230 rides. San Francisco officials followed up with riders 90 days after the ride and found that 230 served, 61 found housing, while 29 had another or unknown location. The remaining riders were unreachable or declined to be surveyed as part of the program. When I was going direct service 30 years ago, people called it Greyhound therapy, said Jeff Olivet, the former executive director of the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness. Get a bus ticket to another town, just get out of here, basically. Sometimes that can be incredibly helpful if people are really wanting and needing to go back to family and social supports. But if somebody is transported or coerced to leave town against their will, it can lead to poorer outcomes, Olivet said. Transportation can be critical, Olivet said, but if it's basically get out of town or we're going to arrest you, that doesn't solve homelessness for anybody. It just moves the problem around.
Open for business, Ozark Mountain e-bikes by Mike Collian. Ozark Mountain e-bikes, November 1st was opening day for Ozark Mountain e-bikes LLC at 2145 West Republic Road in the Republic Plaza Shopping Center. Business owner John Terrell said he noted an absence of the other shops dedicated to e-bikes in Springfield, adding he was ready to launch his first ownership venture after previously working with his friend Chad Davis at Totally Rad e-bikes LLC. Terrell's work at Totally Rad, which moved last year to Ozark from Branson, was preceded by several years of employment at A&B Cycle. Terrell said startup costs were around $35,000, declining to disclose his 5-year lease rate with property owner Republic Plaza RCM Properties LLC. Ozark Mountain e-bikes sells Velocitic and Amia brands. Terrell said, noting he also has expertise in numerous other electric bikes. All sales include 2-year warranties and a lifetime free adjustment. The 1,500 square foot shop also offers e-bike services including tune-ups, electric diagnostics, and overhauls. Service packages range from $90 to $250 according to the store's website. Mercy Springfield Communities at the Queen City borders with Ozarks. Mercy Springfield Communities has opened its new $32 million emergency department. The 17,256 square foot facility located at 3050 East River Bluff Drive in Ozark and attached to the Mercy's Orthopedic Hospital alongside U.S. Highway 65 becomes accessible to patients on November 18th. Mercy Springfield Communities President John Meyer said the emergency department was built in response to the needs of the Springfield area. St. Louis-based McCarthy Building Costs, Inc. served as a general contractor for the emergency department designed by project architect Reese Associates, Inc. of Oklahoma City, and landscape architect Olson, Inc. At the new facility, which is opened 24/7, Mercy estimates it will have 16,500 patients visits annually, with an average of 1,500 visits per room. The facility has 11 beds, including seven standard treatment rooms and a trauma room and an isolation room, as well as a dedicated imaging, a lab, pharmacy, and public safety and other resources. Motorcars International. Motorcars International LLC, a Springfield-based luxury and exotic car business in operation for nearly 50 years, relocated October 1st to a facility at 2841 East Industrial Drive. Jim Montgomery, who has been co-owner of the business since 2016, noted the building spans 20,000 feet and can hold up to 50 vehicles for viewing. He declined to disclose the purchase price for the property. He said the company previously operated at 555 South Cavalier Ave. That was less than 50% of the size of its current facility. Montgomery said roughly 150 attended Motorcars internationally. November 20th, open house for the new building. The company employs 8. He said additionally, Montgomery said he is set to take on a full ownership of the business at the end of this month from founder Bob Kane, declining to disclose financial terms of the deal. Motorcars Internationally was founded in 1979 according to its website. It is currently online. Inventory includes a 2026 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 and a 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE.
Amid financial uncertainty, Missouri State searching for a full-time CFO. After 2 years without a full-time chief financial officer, Missouri State University plans to once again hire for the position. MSU President Richard Biff Williams said the high-priority job opening will be posted as early as this week. We are going to hire a new chief financial officer, and that is probably the most important hire that we have right now, he said in a December 15th interview with the News-Leader. Williams said given uncertainty about higher education funding and the need to scrutinize spending and shore up revenue streams, the CFO role is needed and will be critical in the years coming. He said there are questions about the amount of state and federal funding that will be available for higher education. We really feel it is important to have someone here who is paying attention to that 24/7, looking at investments, looking at how we generate revenue, looking at the analytics of where we're at with tuition revenues and other revenues, Williams said. The last time the university had a full-time CFO was August 2023. That is when Steve Falkart, Steve, I'm just calling you Steve F. from now on. I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm sorry, who had been in the position since August 2011, retired. His annual salary in mid-2023 was $187,193. The salary range for the new position has not yet been announced. Shortly after F's retirement, then-President Cliff Smart announced plans to retire in 2024, and a national search was launched to find the 12th president of the university. Amid the expected leadership change and following F's exit, Matt Morris, a prominent vice president with other significant responsibilities, was asked to absorb the duties of the CFO. His current title is Vice President for Administration and Finance. We used to have a chief financial officer when Steve was here, and then we took the approach of, let's see if we can combine a few areas. And so those responsibilities went to Vice President Morris. Williams said, noting he oversees multiple high-profile areas. His portfolio is humongous. I've got several individuals on the cabinet who have these giant portfolios, and he has done a tremendous job. Morris served as Vice President for Administrative Services from 2015 through 2023, before the CFO retired, and his title was elongated. And Williams said he will continue in that role without the added financial duties. We're not hiring a chief financial officer because we are disappointed or anything, he said. We're hiring a chief financial officer because we've got to right-size people's portfolios so we can maximize what we are doing as a campus. The CFO reports directly to the president and serves in the cabinet. The role includes oversight of accounting and budgeting, accounts receivable, bursar, collections, grants and contracts, payroll, procurement, and more. In the past, the CFO has also been responsible for overseeing accounting and investing for the MSU Foundation and served as treasurer for the MSU Board of Governors.
A few fun facts about this day in history. In 882, Marinus I became pope after the death, possibly murder, of John VIII. In 1631, more than 3,000 people were killed by a major eruption of Mount Vesuvius. In 1653, Oliver Cromwell became Lord Protector of England, Scotland, and Ireland. In 1899, English playwright and actor Noel Coward, best known for his highly polished comedies of manners, was born. In 1944, during World War II, German forces attempted to push through the Allied lines in the Ardennes, beginning the Battle of the Bulge. In 1985, Paul Castelloni, who also was reported the boss of bosses of the Mafia's 5 families, was fatally shot in New York City. John Gotti was later convicted of arranging the murder. 2009, Avatar, a science fiction thriller directed by James Cameron, was released internationally. It went on to make more than $2.7 billion worldwide and spawn a film franchise. And in 2014, members of the Pakistani Taliban carried out a terrorist attack on a school in Peshawar, killing 150 people and at least 134 whom were students. Willard Police releases the name of a man who was beaten, strangled to death. Police say Leonard J. Smith, 74, died of strangulation and blunt force trauma. Jackie Baker, 47, has been charged with murder. Willard police have released the name of the man who was beaten and strangled to death last week. The victim was 74-year-old Leonard J. Smith, according to the Willard Police Chief Thomas McLean. Smith's name was withheld from previous media reports because of his next of kin has not yet been notified. Jackie Diane Baker, 47, also of Willard, is charged with second-degree murder, tampering with physical evidence, financial institution accounts fraud and stealing after she allegedly strangled and beat Smith to death, and then took money out of his bank account. The charges were filed against Baker on December 11th. She was booked in the Greene County Jail on December 10th and is being held without bond. The victim was a veteran, weighed 105 pounds. Charging documents describe Smith as weighing 105 pounds and having a limited income of military retirement and Social Security deposited into his bank account. According to probable cause statements, Baker described herself as the deceased man's caretaker and also his roommate. According to Willard Police Sergeant Purdy, a former partner of Baker's, reported that Baker has severe anger issues, has assaulted associates in the past, and is known to use controlled substances. The warrant for Baker's arrest stated. The warrant for her arrest states that starting December 2nd, Baker began making withdrawals from the man's bank account. Baker turned herself in to the Willard police on December 8th, stating that on December 4th, she woke up to find the man in her bed and fought him off, moving through their shared apartment and leaving him unbreathing in his own bedroom. Injuries include broken ribs and a hyoid bone, possible brain bleeds. Police stated a homicide investigation on December 8th when Baker turns herself in and told officers where the body was. They searched the shared apartment and discovered the man's body with large amounts of black, dark blood, hair in both of his hands, consistent with Baker's black hair. The document states that the officer who responded to the scene went into the Greene County Medical Examiner's office for the autopsy. Smith had 6 broken ribs, a broken hyoid bone in the neck, probably brain bleeds, and also injuries according to the probable cause statement. The preliminary finding was that he died of strangulation and blunt force trauma. Baker is scheduled for a bond review hearing on December 22nd in Judge Margaret Palomito's courtroom. According to online court records, Baker does not yet have an attorney.
Renters in Springfield saw apartment listing prices increase 9% from last year's median of $1,095. An analysis of new data from rental marketplace Zumper shows. The typical apartment listed for rent at $1,197 in November. Median listing prices in Springfield are trending essentially the same as last month's $1,195 price. The data covers all bedroom sizes, ranging from studios to 4-bedroom units within the specified metropolitan area. It reflects the median rent for all listings that were active at any given point during the month, according to Russell Middleton, co-founder of Zumper. New construction is included in the data, and listings that are currently occupied or no longer available are excluded. Out of 1,022 rentals listings in Springfield, 47 are subsidized. When those are excluded, the overall median rent for listed apartments goes to $1,195. One-bedroom apartments listed to rent at a median of $909, nearly the same as October when they were $910. Since last year, one-bedroom rental prices rose 2% from $895. Two-bedroom apartments listed for rent were basically flat to October at a central price of $1,050 compared to $1,048. Since last year, two-bedroom rental prices slightly rose from $1,006. Statewide Missouri rental listing prices are very close to October's median of $1,295. One-bedroom rentals were listed for a typical price of $975, essentially the same as October's average of $966. Two-bedroom rental listing prices are nearly the same at October's central price of $1,199. In Springfield, the typical apartment listed for rent is 7% below the state median. One-bedroom rentals were 7% below the state median, while two-bedroom listed 13% below. Nationwide apartment rental listings are essentially unchanged from last month's 1,895. One-bedroom rentals across the nation listed for a typical price of $1,513, nearly the same as last month, while two-bedroom listings approximately the same as last month's median of $1,800. In Springfield, the typical apartment listed for rent is 37% below the national median. One-bedroom rentals listed below 40%, and two-bedroom rentals listed below 42%. The median apartment rental price used in this report are gathered from Zumper, which aggregates over 1 million active listings posted by brokers and landlords, to Zumper's landlord platform and third-party listings from MLS providers to calculate median asking rents.
MSU names latest class of Citizen Scholar Awards winners. The winners were recognized for a wide variety of campus community involvement. From left, MSU student Megan Bolin, Robert Thomas Gummersall, Chandler Harris, Moria Lizarga, Jessica Snare, and Sam Wang were named Thursday as the latest class Citizen Scholars. The latest class of Citizen Scholars at Missouri State University features 6 students who are heavily involved with numerous activities both on campus and off. The Board of Governors recognized the latest class on December 11th. The program was created in 2007 to recognize success in academics and carrying out the university's public affairs mission. It is the highest award available to students and requires a nomination from a faculty or staff member. Dee Cisco, Vice President of Student Affairs, said that award recipients represent the best of Missouri State and make outstanding ambassadors. The selection process was difficult, she said. It was definitely a difficult task, she said during the board meeting. We had 17 outstanding nominees. These 6 rose to the top because of their accomplishments, their school and community involvement, and their attitude in all that they do. The award winners include Megan Bolin, a junior from Springfield studying special education. She participated in Bear Leads as a Bear Power ambassador, member of the Pride Band, and other bands. After graduation, she plans to teach elementary special education, then pursue a master's degree in gifted education and a doctorate in organizational leadership. Robert Thomas Gummersall, a senior from Springfield studying communication studies. He had been active in Student Government Association as a director of university affairs, as well as a Chi Sigma. He also founded RT's Project Suitcase. His career plans include teaching at the college level and ultimately working towards becoming a university dean or president. Chandler Harris is senior from Rogers, Arkansas, who is studying entertainment management in the Accelerated MBA program. He is a board member for Home for Dinner Incorporated and runs his own freelance production company. After graduation, he plans to work in operation management or focus on growing his business. Moria Lizaragi, a graduate student from Santa Cruz, Bolivia, is a teacher working as a bilingual liaison for the university's first all-Spanish language master's program. She's also a board member for Ozarks Lyric Opera. After graduation, she plans to earn a doctorate in communication. Jessica Snare, a senior from Warrensburg, is studying cybersecurity and IT infrastructure. She founded and directs the university's Cyber Cubs Youth Technology Summer Camp and is also president of the Association for Business Information Technology Students. A career with ConocoPhillips awaits Snare after graduation. Sam Wang, a senior from Springfield, is an honors college student studying anthropology. He serves on Student Government Association as a student body vice president and former chief of staff. He has also worked through AmeriCorps to benefit the Bear Pantry. After graduation, he will pursue master's and doctorate's degrees in anthropology with a goal of teaching higher education and staying involved with nonprofits.
Mark Pope channeling inner Rick Pitino is what UK basketball needs now. Kentucky basketball's 6-4 start and losses to every major college team it has faced has taken coach Mark Pope back to a style that he thought he had left behind. It's going to take an old-school approach to get to the Wildcats playing how they need to play. In Pope's first few seasons as a head coach at Utah Valley, he coached with a harder edge. He was not as consoling on turnovers, not as encouraging after mistakes and execution. He admitted as much during a news conference last December. I was about, how long can you sustain a level 10 intensity and focus, Pope said. I would spend 24 hours a day pacing and criticizing and yelling, being in game mode, full-on intensity. He thought that was the way he was supposed to be, and it shouldn't take long to figure out why, having played for Rick Pitino in the 90s, when success was a choice and anyone playing for him knew not to think they could choose mediocrity. This season has dictated that Pope return to that style, not what he learned from a group of BYU faculty in clinical psychology. Pope molded his approach to focus more on the connective tissue of the team, which at BYU and his first season at UK didn't include the heavy criticism and intense laser focus of all things basketball. There's room for a cerebral approach, too. Pope doesn't have to transform into Bobby Knight. But that has to be earned with a group of players who can handle such trust. This version of the Wildcats needs to be coached into what intensity looks like. They need to learn how effort can sometimes make up for when the execution might be off and shots may not be falling. That may seem simple, but from UK's 4 losses, it looks like the players don't understand. I've done a poor job eliciting that from our guys, Pope said after Tuesday's 103-67 win over NC Central. Nobody's more surprised about that than I am, but that's not going to stand. Junior Brandon Garrison has been the most obvious example of how Pope is changing. After the Cats lost to Michigan State, Garrison was benched in favor of freshman Malachi Moreno in the starting lineup. Pope said he wasn't in the business of sending messages, but the way Garrison played in his limited minutes against Loyola Maryland and seemed like he understood why. Until Tuesday night's game against the Eagles, Garrison was at the wrong end of another Pope non-message when he didn't play the entire second half after committing a turnover when jogging down the floor as it led to a dunk. That happened as Pope also held Cam Williams and Jalaland Lowe out of the lineup for the entire first half. The roster construction of this team has contributed to the Cats' slow start. They're just not as experienced. Last season, Pope could afford to allow his players more freedom on the floor because he was primarily using veterans. Lamont Butler, Kobe Brea, Jackson Robinson, Andrew Carr, and Amari Williams were not only seniors but were also playing in their 5th years, thanks to being the last class that could take advantage of playing under the COVID year eligibility waiver. Otega Owa, as a junior last season, was the young fella in the starting lineup. Now he and Florida transfer Denzel Aberdeen are the old heads, and they're surrounded in the lineup with players who are either young like Marino or Jasper Johnson, or simply don't know what it's like to play at this level. They're getting a tutorial on playing on a stage like Kentucky's, where the spotlight shines the brightest or burns the harshest depending on how they're playing. We've got to get guys outside of themselves, and we've got to get guys living and dying for this team in this gym with this fan base, Pope said after Tuesday night's win. The smile has come off Pope's face. He's wearing more of a scowl these days. The cerebral X's and O's guru has turned drill sergeant. It's just the change that UK needs to salvage a season headed in the wrong direction.
Vote for December Student of the Month who gives back to the community. 'Tis the season of giving and spreading joy. As the year winds down, we want to reflect back on the year and highlight the local high schoolers who have gone above and beyond to give back to their community. For the Student of the Month contest, the News-Leader asked local high schools to highlight the student who helps other students and have contributed to the betterment of the school community and beyond. Local high school students were nominated by leaders at the school district in the area for their accomplishments, community service, and leadership. Voting is open until 11 a.m. on Thursday, December 18th. Cast a vote for this round Student of the Month by visiting the poll at the bottom of the story online at newsleader.com. You can submit 1 vote per hour. The winner will be announced online Friday, December 19th. The December nominees are Parker Mitchell, the Summit Preparatory School. Parker is regarded as an amazing connector, caring for others by helping with transportation when needed and frequently encouraging other students to participate in esports competitions. The 9th grader is always welcoming and kind toward peers and teachers, which embodies the positive character values of the Summit Preparatory School. Nathaniel Cummings, Kickapoo High School. Nathaniel is a leader within Kickapoo DECA, where he mentors students who are working on written projects, meeting with each of them individually, listening to their ideas, and helping them strengthen their concepts. The seniors has also helped his peers by tutoring into the intro to business class, developing meaningful relationships with each student in the class and helping them understand and apply key business concepts. Beyond school, Nathaniel mentors Cub Scouts in the essential outdoor skills, leadership, and prepares them for rank advancement. He also contributes to our community by volunteering at Crosslines Resource Center, grocery shopping for families in need, leaving and loading the items in their car, and through his Eagle Scout Service project, where he built a storage unit for Messiah Lighthouse Child and Family Development Center. Collie Dills, Glendale High School. Collie is one of the most dedicated DECA and FBLA members, school-based enterprise SBE employees, and Glendale students on record. The senior consistently demonstrates excellence by both in and outside the classroom, showing an unwavering commitment to her community and to service. At the event director for the Glendale Flock Olympics and a key member of the fundraising team, Callie has spent the past 2 years planning and executing a school-wide Special Olympic event with exceptional creativity and professionalism. Her efforts have raised thousands of dollars annually to support Glendale's special education programs. This year, she collaborated with both the National and Missouri Special Olympics organization to officially bring Special Olympics to Glendale. Through her leadership, Glendale became the first high school in Springfield to be recognized as a unified champion school. Throughout her 4 years at Glendale, Callie has accumulated more than 200 hours of community service.
If you haven't heard, Guns N' Roses is the first announced show of the 2026 concert season at Thunder Ridge Nature Arena in Ridgedale. The iconic American rock band, which boasts the 11th best-selling album of all time with 1987's Appetite for Destruction, will stop in the Ozarks toward the end of a lengthy world tour that starts in Mexico in late March. Tickets for the September 12th show in the Ozarks went on sale December 5th at thunderridgenaturearena.com. The 31-date tour will include performances in Poland, Ireland, the Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, and France. The tour will include stadiums, arenas, amphitheaters, and festivals. In announcing the tour, Guns N' Roses will also release 2 singles, Nothin' and Atlas, the band's first new music since 2023. They will be released December 2nd. The group's 2024 world tour sold 1.3 million tickets and marked the band's largest run. The 3-hour shows mix new songs with fan favorites. Guns N' Roses members include Axl Rose, vocals and keyboards, Duff McKagan, bass, Slash, lead guitar, Dizzy Reed, keyboard, Richard Fortis, rhythm guitar, Isaac Carpenter, drums, and Melissa Reese, keyboard.
Springfield Towing Company operator pleads guilty to mail fraud scheme by SBJ staff. A Springfield Towing Company operator has pleaded guilty to a mail fraud scheme in which false documents were submitted to the Missouri Department of Revenue in order to obtain mechanics liens and titles for vehicles that had previously been reported stolen. Dennis Arthur Cleveland, 75, pleaded guilty December 12th to 1 count of each mail fraud, aggravated identity theft, and money laundering. According to a news release from the office of R. Matthew Price, U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Missouri, while serving as the owner of Affordable Towing, Cleveland admitted that he directed his employees to send fraudulent documents to the Missouri Department of Revenue in order to obtain substitute or replacement mechanic liens and vehicle titles to allow him to sell vehicles, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. The documents submitted claims purporting to have received permission from the vehicle owners, according to a news release, but it was later discovered that this was not the case. Additionally, forged signatures were included in the document. According to the release, Cleveland would then sell the vehicles at a used car dealership, or if he was unable to obtain a replacement title or mechanic's lien, they would be scrapped at a local scrapyard. Each of the vehicles involved in the scheme were confirmed to have been reported stolen, and neither Cleveland or Affordable Towing had permission to possess, sell, or scrap any of these vehicles, officials with the U.S. Attorney Office said in this release. A sentencing hearing is slated to be scheduled following the completion of a pre-sentence investigation by the U.S. Probation's Office. Under federal status, Cleveland is subject to a sentence of up to 20 years in federal prison without parole for mail fraud, up to 10 years in federal prison without parole for money laundering, and up to 2 years in prison for aggravated identity theft, according to the release. The later sentence would be served consecutively with the mail fraud and money laundering charges. The guilty plea follows Cleveland's sentencing to 2 years in federal prison in 2023 for Clean Air Act violations. According to the past reporting, he pleaded guilty earlier that year to 1 count of conspiracy to violate the Clean Act Air and 1 count of tampering with the Clean Act Air monitoring devices as the owner of Affordable Towing. Springfield Business Journal is seeking comment for Cleveland's legal representation.
Son of Rocco's Pizza founder to open new Battlefield restaurant. The Palazzolo family has been part of the Springfield area's pizza scene for nearly 20 years. John Palazzolo, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, son of the Rocco's Pizza founder, is branching out with a new restaurant in Battlefield to set open to next month. Palazzolo's Italian restaurant and pizzeria. I wanted to try something a little bit different, maybe focus more on dinners, he said. Obviously, we're going to have pizzas, but it's not just a pizzeria. The owner closed on the 5420 West Bypass property in March 2025, according to Greene County Assessor's office records. For the past several months, he has been personally renovating the property. He said Battlefield city leaders and residents have been supportive of his restaurant, and he expects to be open in the first week of January. It will be a departure from the Rocco's model. He said there's an expression in Sicily, when the cat's not around, the mice party. For years, his family established pizzerias one by one in southwest Missouri. We only did one at a time, and we just built it and sold it and moved on to the next one, he explained. This model enabled the family to focus on a single store at once. Most recently, he said he helped open a Bolivar's Rocco's Pizza in 2020. The owners of a Rocco's restaurant receive rights to use the name and the family's dough and sauce recipes. He stated that he has never worked with a general manager. Both he and his father are independent entrepreneurs. It's hard to let go, he said. My dad, he didn't even want dishwashers. However, the owner is interested in training someone for a leadership role at his new restaurant, a person who could run things in his absence. He plans to maintain ownership of the business. I don't foresee it being like Rocco's, where we're going to open up several of these. I think this is going to be it. The new restaurant will seat about 37 people inside. He plans to create an outdoor patio in the future, seating an additional 25 people. Over the past 7 months, he has completed extensive renovations on the site, from tile to HVAC and installing a commercial kitchen. His menu will include some foods the owner grew up eating, like a rigatoni dish his mother made on Sundays. Visitors will also be able to order pizza or pick up a pie to go. Eventually, he said his restaurant will offer an online ordering service. He's opening a commercial property that was previously zoned as a C1 neighborhood business district. To accommodate a restaurant, it needed to be rezoned to a C2 general commercial district. The Battlefield Board of Aldermen voted unanimously in favor of the rezoning in March 2025. I think that's what people are looking for in this area, is more of a sit-down restaurant option, Mayor Mark Crabtree told the Daily Citizen. Battlefield, a community of about 6,000 people, is home to a few local dining options. Crabtree said that restaurants are one of residents' top desires for the area, as reflected in the community surveys. We are in favor of growth, and we want to see a lot more of it, said Chris McPhail, Battlefield's interim city administrator. He added that more small and service-oriented businesses would be a good fit for the community. Rocco Palazzolo, 80, frequently stops by to see the progress on his son's new venture. The native of Sicily started his first pizzeria in New Jersey in the 1960s. Today, he lives in Billings with a flock of 10 sheep. He sacrificed a lot and just worked. So this is something that is kind of like a dream of his, to have a large amount of animals and just the tranquility of, doing what he wanted to do, John said. The family opened the first Rocco's restaurant in Republic in 2006. They went on to open stores in Springfield, Nixa, Ozarks, Bennett, Branson, and Bolivar. His biggest cheerleader is his wife of 26 years, Vicky, who has worked together with him since 1999. The couple met at a pizzeria owned by Palazzolo's uncle. For around 13 years, he also ran a fresh dough and sauce business, preparing the products 4 times a week for about a dozen clients. He sold the dough business to a family friend in 2023, but he is proud to say that his recipes are still in use. Every pizza that anybody's ever had from Rocco's and several other stores, I've had something to do with, Palazzolo said.
We are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store, situated at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit our official website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology, training videos, and other informative material, please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platforms serve as valuable resources for community engagement and education. Veterans receive a 25% discount every day, providing significant savings as a token of our appreciation for their service. Additionally, the store features a weekly clothing sale where all clothing items are available at 50% off every Wednesday. Seniors aged 55 or older benefit from 25% of discount every Tuesday, making shopping more affordable for the senior community. Our store holds the distinction of being the first retail store worldwide to incorporate NaviLens technology, which significantly enhances accessibility for the blind, visually impaired, and non-English speaking individuals. This innovative system enables customers to navigate and shop within minimal assistance, fostering independence and confidence. The store operates as a non-profit organization dedicated to generating funds that support the provisions of adaptive technology and training for the blind and visually impaired community, often at little to no cost. Visitors can learn more about the organization and access its services by visiting the store in person at 2713 North Kansas Expressway, Springfield, Missouri, or by exploring our website again at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The website offers comprehensive information about the store's mission, service, and opportunities for community involvement, as well as detail about the free store available to residents in the Springfield area.
In more pizza news, Ty and Timber's Pizza Restaurant in Roundtree to open in early 2026. A gourmet pizza kitchen is coming to the historic Roundtree neighborhood, completing a vision in the making for Ty and Timber Beer Company owners Kurt and Jennifer Marshall. The Marshalls have been working on the pizza concept, Ty and Timber Pizza Kitchen, for multiple years. The business couple attended pizza expos in Las Vegas and even received lessons from some pizza masters. The Marshalls are ready to bring all those lessons home to Springfield. The three-story restaurant will officially open in the first quarter of 2026, with the goal of opening as early in the year as possible, Kurt Marshall said. Construction of the building is nearly complete, and crews are grappling with building out the interior of the restaurant. The Pizza Kitchen will be a separate additional building from the brewery and beer garden, which opened in 2018, and is located at 1451 East Cherry Street. Kurt Marshall declined to disclose the total investment for the restaurant addition. The plans for the restaurant addition were revealed in late 2024 when plans were filed with the city to demolish a small building on the Roundtree property to make way for constructing the three-story restaurant, according to previous Springfield Daily Citizen reporting. Jennifer Marshall, head brewer for Ty and Timber, has become head chef for Ty and Timber Pizza Kitchen. The restaurant plans to roll out 3 versions of handcrafted pizza. The first will be Detroit style, a deep dish pan pizza layered and decadent. Jennifer Marshall said she spent a year dialing in the dough on that style of pizza. So you bake it in a pan, Jennifer Marshall said. And what makes it special is you put the cheese on there in a way that creates this caramelized crown called frico around the pizza. The Detroit style is a thicker pizza, but it's not dense, Kurt Marshall added. It's very pillowy. The second will be tavern style, a thin and crispy pizza cut up into squares. This is the style that's meant to be shared across the table, Jennifer Marshall said. Of the 3, that's my favorite, Kurt Marshall said. She actually makes it with a slight cornmeal, so it gives it an interesting texture. Ty and Timber Pizza Kitchen will also offer a traditional round pizza with a light crust, Jennifer Marshall said. She described the style as what a lot of other pizzerias offer. There will be all kinds of toppings, and of course, Ty and Timber will offer specialty pizzas. Jennifer Marshall said that she has been toying with recipes for a long time and has even recruited help from Glenn Cebulski, a world-renowned award-winning executive chef with a pizza specialty. We've been working with him for a few years now. He's been in the industry for decades, Kurt Marshall said. He's opened dozens of different restaurants and concepts. For the Pizza Kitchen, Jennifer Marshall has spent countless hours on recipes for specialty pizzas. She has appreciated Cebulski's input and mentoring through the entire process. Just like I do with the beer, Jennifer Marshall said, I take the traditional styles and then I add our little spin to it. Unlike many restaurants, the goal at Ty and Timber is not to rush customers through dinner so they can seat the next, Kurt Marshall said. The owners are actively striving towards building an environment that welcomes patrons to hang around as long as they please to listen to music and drink more brewskis. The whole goal of that entire space is to augment the experience of our guest, Kurt Marshall said. He added, there's not a bad seat in the house. Ty and Timber has partnered with a few local artists for the expansion as well. The east wall of the restaurant addition is adorned with a colorful spanning mural by Meg Wagler. The restaurant will also feature a sculpture by artist Nick Willett. The restaurant will include 2 full bars and a large kitchen, including a deck that overlooks the beer garden. The bars will have 16 taps for all the Ty and Timber beer it takes to wash down the pizza. Altogether, the new building will have about 7,000 square feet. The buildings located at 1451 and 1459 East Cherry Street are owned by Frankie Properties, LLC, and had an appraised value of just under $460,000, according to Greene County Assessor's Office records. Those records do not reflect the additional restaurant under construction. The original organization filing for Frankie Properties lists Curtis Marshall as an organizer, according to Missouri Secretary of State of Records. Since opening nearly 8 years ago, Ty and Timber has changed as a concept and adapted, Kurt Marshall said. The opening of the new restaurant marks yet another chapter in the company's history. You know, it's funny because I used to tell people that we were in the beer industry, and then after a couple of Years of being in the beer industry, I realized we were not in the beer industry at all, Kurt Marshall said. We were in the hospitality industry. And then after a few years of thinking we were in the hospitality industry, I realized that actually we're in the experience industry.
Your ultimate 2025 Springfield Holiday Lights Guide. More than 35 festive homes and public displays around Springfield metro area to see for a little to no cost. The holiday season have arrived in all its glowing glory. If you go to festive areas, lighted public displays, and notable private homes, that means it's time for the Springfield Daily Citizen's 4th annual Ultimate Holiday Lights Guide. There's nothing better than grabbing a hot cocoa, turning up holiday tunes, and heading out to a free and low-cost lights display to get you in the spirit. It's a budget-friendly tradition in our household and great way to spend an evening with your kids, your honey, or your friends. You couldn't possibly get through all the displays on our list in one night, so plan for 2. We've organized our list in 2 categories: walk and drive-through public displays in and around Springfield that are either free or cost less than $10 to view. Private homes with outstanding displays. Some are favorites with visits every year. Others have been submitted, making them new favorites. We've listed homes roughly by location to help you plan your drive-bys. Walk-through and drive-through displays. For a festive outing with friends or family, visit one or all of these 9 drive-through and walk-through public holiday light displays. 5 are in public parks, 3 are in urban downtown areas, and 1 is in a private home. All are low or no cost excursions. For our 2025 list, we've added drive-through lights in Boulevard and the historic Ozarks Square. Some displays are limited events, so check details for each before you head out. The 7th annual Gardens Aglow. This one is a walkthrough. It's at the Mizumoto Japanese Stroll Gardens, 2400 South Scenic Ave, Springfield, Missouri. When it starts between 5 and 8:30 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, November 28th through December 28th, and it's closed Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It costs $6 a head online or $8 at the gate for ages 13 or older, $4 online, and $5 at the gate for ages 3 to 12. Ages 2 and younger are free. Small processing fees will be online for tickets. Friends of the garden members enter free. What started 7 years ago has grown to include more than 225,000 lights in a festive display all over the Mizumoto Japanese Stroll Gardens at the Springfield Botanical Gardens. Gardens Aglow is a delight as you wander the paths. Freestanding displays, including selfie butterflies, are extended by the light-wrapped trees, a glowing tunnel, a lighted bridge, music, and so much more. Something is glowing everywhere you look. Plus, you'll find fire pits for colder nights and snack and hot drink vendors. This event has become a Springfield holiday must-do. Purchase a membership with Friends of the Garden or Springfield Sister Cities Association to receive free entry all season long. Festival of Lights at Jordan Valley Park. This one's a walk-in. It's at 635 East Traffic Way Street, Springfield, Missouri. It's from 5 to 9 p.m. daily through December 31st. This one is free. Take a stroll through Jordan Valley Park for a short, sweet outing filled with lighted displays and kid-friendly characters that blink in time to music. You'll find penguins, snow people, animals, Santa and his reindeers, a small tunnel, lighted trees, and a lot of snow flakes. Part of the Brightspeed Ice Park, 635 East Traffic Way Street. You can also enter the park from the corner of Sherman and Traffic Way, just across from the Hammonds Field. Tip, the music is easier to hear around the plaza near the Ice Peak. Mayor's Christmas Tree on Park Central Square. It's a walk or a drive-through. This one is nightly through December 31st and is, of course, at the Park Central Square. This one is also free. Drive around the Park Central Square to see the 48-foot Mayor's Christmas Tree, or park near the square to walk and view the holiday windows with animated characters at the History Museum on the square. Most festive lights and windows displays can be found downtown. Then we've got Visit Santa at the Tree, 5 to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, all the way through December 20th. The Historic C Street. It's a walk-in or a drive-through. It's at Commercial Street, particularly near the historic Jefferson Avenue Bridge. It's nightly through the holidays and cost is free. Drive or walk along the historic C Street to enjoy holiday lights along the building tops, decorated windows, and more. Many lights are concentrated around the historic Jefferson Avenue Bridge. There's also a B Highway Christmas display. This one is a walk or a one-way drive. It's at 2874 State Highway B, Rogersville, nightly through Christmas Eve. It's free. There is parking on the west side of the circular drive, and parking is allowed in front of the garage doors without blocking the circular drive. Homeowners request only small carry dogs join family members walking through the display, otherwise leave dogs in the car. This holiday blow-up extravaganza appeals to kids and kids at heart. The spacious grounds of Kevin and Valinda Bradley's country home in Rogersville, about 20 minutes east of Highway 65 and James River Freeway, features a walkthrough display set to music with dozens of holiday blow-ups. Visitors may also view the display by driving one way along the circular drive, but you won't see the entire display. The family also hosts several fun extras, including a memorial tree to decorate on behalf of loved ones, a Santa letter writing mailbox, holiday films, and perhaps most popular, a bake shop where visitors can purchase baked goods, popcorn, cappuccino, hot cocoa, and gifts. There is also a photo booth and a portable toilet for guests. Do note, if the weather is bad or too windy, the displays won't be on. Check the family Facebook page, updated nightly between 5:30 and 6 p.m. before heading out. Holiday lights display at Miller Park in Republic. Miller Park, 711 East Miller Road, Republic. Every evening, December 1st through January 2nd. This one is also free. Since J.R. Martin Park in Republic is undergoing construction for the city's newest capital improvement project, the annual holiday lights display was moved to Miller Park for 2025. No matter where lights are found, they make a festive, colorful stop for taking photos. Walk through the lighted tunnels and enjoy an animated light show set to music on loudspeakers, with dancing arches, a singing Santa head, light-wrapped trees, and more. A festival of lights at Finley River Park. This one's a drive-through. It's at 891 North Riverside Road, Ozark, 5:30 to 10 p.m. nightly through December 25th. This one is free. Another annual tradition, the Finley River Light Display event, is back in Ozark. The 1 mile drive-through features kid-friendly characters, holiday themes, a lighted tunnel, and more. Best of all, it's free. After driving through the park, visit the historic Ozark Downtown Square and the Mayor's Christmas tree at the Ozark Community Center, 1530 West Jackson Street. The historic Ozark Downtown Square at 109 to 199 West Elm Street, Ozark. This one's nightly through to the New Year's. While you're in Ozark, don't miss a drive around the historic Ozark Square in all its holiday glory. The square will be lighted nightly through the holidays, features string of lights in the gazebos, holiday trees, red and green spotlights around the building, and new this year, giant blow-ups. The square looks so festive, it's a great spot to take holiday photos. Plus, the annual Friday Night Lights event on the square happens 5 to 9 p.m. December 12th. Well, I guess that passed. With fun holiday activities added to the lighted square experience. They include decorative vehicles, live music performances by local students, church choir groups, local food vendors, free train rides around the square, and free-based horse-drawn carriage rides.
Missouri State players talk about head coach Ryan Beard's departure ahead of the Xbox Bowl. Frisco, Texas. For the first time since head coach Ryan Beard accepted the same position at Coastal Carolina last week, Missouri State players fielded questions about the move ahead of Thursday's Xbox Bowl against Arkansas State. The Daily Citizen spoke to quarterback Jacob Clark, fullback Connor Lair, and linebacker Cooper Roy about a variety of topics on Monday at the team hotel attached to the Ford Center, where the Bears, 7-5, will face the Red Wolves at 8 p.m. on Central on ESPN2. Among those topics was Beard's departure after the 36-year-old helped successfully transition the Bears into the FBS and Conference USA in 2025, going a combined 19-16-3 seasons at MSU. A national search for his replacement is underway. MSU interim head coach Nick Petrino, the team's offensive coordinator the past 3 seasons, was not available on Monday. He is slated to speak at a pregame press conference on Wednesday morning along with Clark and linebacker Kanye Young. Jacob Clark, Daily Citizen. What are your thoughts on Beard's departure? How has the team handled it? Clark. I love Coach Beard and his family. Obviously, some of his family is still on the staff with us. We wish him the best. I obviously wish he would have finished out the season with us, and I'm sure he does too. Overall, nothing really changes. I think at this point we're a player-led team, especially offensively, as our entire staff is still here. Same offense, same guy Petrino calling it. We're going to go out there and execute like we have been all year in being a player-led football team. How has Nick Petrino stepped up in his first week as the staff leader? He has done a great job. He's always been the head coach of the offense, with Beard being a defensive guy. For us, the offense, nothing really feels different, but for him, it was about taking that next step. I know he's really excited for the opportunity and has done a really good job the last couple of days. Can you see him stepping into that role permanently? We haven't had any conversations about that. Obviously, I'm done after this year, no more eligibility left. We haven't really had those conversations, and I think he is going to be open to different opportunities and do what's best for him. He's going to have a long coaching career and do well in a lot of different places. Were you surprised at all by Beard leaving, or did you see it coming? Change is inevitable. You never really know when it's going to happen or where people are going to go. I've had coordinators leave unexpectedly and head coaches, and on social media you see a million things. You never really know until it happens. He's going to do a great job there, and I'm really happy for him and his family. Cooper Roy. What did you think about Beard's departure? Coach Beard leaving was not very optimal for the bowl game and all that stuff, but the university and Beard handled it with class, and we handled it the best we could. Honestly, I'm not very focused on that, but winning the game. We'll see what happens with coaching changes after the game. Connor Lair. What did you think of Beard's departure ahead of the bowl game? It's been an adjustment, but we wish him nothing but the best. He did a lot for us, and like he preached, he wouldn't have had that opportunity without us. Playing for each other is the main thing right now.
When is Missouri deer hunting season? See MDC's new rules for 2025. Hamid Jawadi. With the Missouri's deer hunting season now underway, the state's Department of Conservation is reminding hunters of a new updated regulation for the 2025-2026 season. Here's what to know. What are Missouri's CWD counties in 2025? Most of the MDC's updated regulations are primarily related to chronic wasting disease. CWD is a deadly neurological illness that affects deers, elk, and similar animals. The disease is caused by proteins called prions that, when folded incorrectly, kill brain cells in the animals. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, although infected animals can transmit the disease to other animals, no CWD infections in people have ever been reported. Among the changes announced in the addition of a dozen counties to the CWC management zone, counties that fall within the zone have to abide by special regulations due to having a CWC positive detection and are falling within 10 miles of the existing detection. This includes Callaway, Cape Girardeau, Davies, Harrison, Henry, Marion, Miller, Montu, Morgan, Rawls, St. Louis, and Texas counties. When is MDC mandatory CWD testing? All deer harvested in designated CWD management zone counties on November 15th and 16th must be taken to a mandatory sampling station. Sampling stations will be open from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Hunters who harvest deer outside of the zone can also voluntarily get their deer tested at numerous sites around the state throughout the entire deer hunting season. What are these rules around moving a deer carcass? A previous rule prohibiting hunters from transporting high-risk deer parts, like the brain or spinal cord, out of the county where it was harvested has been removed. Hunters now are required to throw away any unused deer parts either in a sanitary landfill or on the property where the deer was harvested. Hunters must also telecheck their deer before transporting it out of the county where it was harvested or by 10 p.m. on the day of harvest, whichever comes first. Is there an early youth portion bag limit in Missouri? Youth hunters can now harvest more than one deer during the early youth portion of the firearms deer season. The change standardizes the bag limit across all firearm season portions, though the limit of one antlered buck during firearm deer season still applies. How many firearms antlerless permits are allowed in Missouri? Hunters can now file 4 firearm antlerless permits in Buchanan, Clinton, Dade, DeKalb, Lawrence, and Texas counties. Qualifying resident landowners statewide are also eligible for 2 resident landowner firearm antlerless permits. The when is Missouri deer hunting season? Archery, September 15th through November 14th, November 26th through January 15th. Firearms antlerless portions, October 10th through October 12th, and December 6th through December 14th. Firearms youth portions, November 1st through November 2nd, November 28th through November 30th. Firearms November portions, November 15th through November 25th. Firearms CWD portions, November 26th through November 30th, and the firearms alternative methods, December 27th through December 6th.
Petition against huge East Division development deemed insufficient. On November 3rd, the Springfield City Council approved a request to rezone 48 acres at 3830 East Division Street, which was recently annexed into the city, from agricultural zoning to a planned development, by Jack McGee. Editor's note, free access to elections coverage is made possible by the Merrill Lynch Nelson Hollum Group. A referendum petition seeking to repeal the ordinance that authorized the rezoning for a controversial housing development proposed on East Division Street has been deemed insufficient by the city clerk's office. Ben Shantz, an attorney with Spencer Fain LLP representing the Bristol Park subdivision, which is adjacent to the proposed development, submitted the referendum petition to the city clerk's office on December 3rd. According to a December 4th letter addressed to Shantz from City Clerk Anita Cotter. On November 3rd, the Springfield City Council approved a rezone request 48 acres at 3830 East Division Street, which was recently annexed into the city, from agricultural zoning to a planned development. The project will include 510 housing units, including 26 single-family homes, 20 villas, 16 duplexes, 40 townhomes, and 408 apartments across 10 three-story apartment buildings. While East Division Development LLC is listed as the applicant on the rezoning application, the project is a joint venture between Canyon View Capital, a property investment company headquartered in California, with several Springfield area apartment complexes in its portfolio, and Naprodeck Builders, a Springfield-based construction company, according to previous Daily Citizen reporting. Although the referendum petition was submitted within 30 days of the council's approval as required by the city charter, it was short of the signatures required to compel the city council to either repeal the ordinance or authorize a special election, allowing voters to determine its fate. For a referendum petition to be sufficient, it must be signed by qualified electors totaling 10% of the voters who cast ballots in the last general municipal election in April. Based on the April 2025 election, this required 1,499 signatures, according to Cotter. The petition submitted by Shantz contained 1,034 signatures, making it insufficient. Under the city charter, a referendum petition may be amended within 10 days after the notification of insufficiency with an additional petition. In other words, the petitioners were provided an opportunity to collect additional signatures. However, Cotter said this provision is only applicable for petitions that have the required number of signatures at the time of submission, even if some are not from qualified voters. Because the petition was deemed insufficient on its face, the city clerk's office did not certify the signatures as belonging to registered voters of Springfield. Citing case law, Cotter said in a December 4th letter addressed to Shantz, a petition must contain the required number of signatures as set out in City Charter Section 14.2 at the time of its initial submission in order to be deemed sufficient. If it does not, petitioners are not afforded additional time to amend or supplement the petition. Additional time is provided only when the petition contains the required number of signatures initially, but some signatures cannot be certified. Because the petition you submitted did not include the required number of signatures by the deadline established in the city charter, it is deemed insufficient, and no additional time for the amendment can be granted. Cotter is expected to certify the petition as insufficient at the December 15th City Council meeting. Because the petition was deemed insufficient, no action will be required by the City Council. Neighbor to proposed development, we've essentially been denied a vote. Jessica Ingram, a resident of the Bristol Park subdivision who helped lead the referendum effort, expressed frustration over the fact that many neighbors to the proposed development, including herself, were unable to sign the petition due to living outside of the city limits. We've essentially been denied a voice in the matter that directly impacts our property, Ingram told the Springfield Daily Citizen. My home in particular, my front door is 25 feet from the property line of the proposed development. Yet my husband and I, including others, were banned from signing or circulating the referendum to challenge the city. A lot of us are very frustrated with the fact that with us being right outside of the city limits, we have no say in electing city council members who ultimately made the final decision on this project. So we're kind of left without representation regarding the outcome. In addition to Bristol Park, the proposed development borders the Cooper Estates subdivision, which is located in city limits, while the nearby Winsmore, Wild Horse, and Pearson Meadows subdivisions, among others, are not. While the City Council approved the rezoning on an 8-1 vote, with only Councilmember Craig Hosmer opposed, some of the council members who voted in favor expressed concerns about the project's location, including Councilmember Brandon Jensen. With each of these major developments that we're approving on the periphery of town, we are signaling to the development community that they should continue to prioritize investing in outward growth rather than densification within our city, Jensen said at the November 3rd meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission initially recommended denial of the rezoning request, but later recommended approval of a revised proposal that reduced the number of overall units by 20 and limited the height of apartment buildings to 3 stories. In addition, the revised proposal contained more defined traffic improvements to the surrounding roadways, including plans for a traffic signal at the intersection of Division and LeCompte Road, and eliminated a proposed connection to Danvers Road, which currently terminates at the South Park property line in Bristol Park. Despite the changes, neighbors remained concerned about various aspects of the proposed development. While some residents have indicated that they are not inherently opposed to the development of the property, many feel that the density of the project is not compatible with the surrounding single-family neighborhoods, and that the increased traffic will exacerbate existing congestion on Division. Residents have also cited concerns with potential sinkholes on the property and the developer's ties to a California company. Springfield City staff recommended approval of both iterations of the rezoning application. In Development Review staff report, the city points to the step-down approach used to transition between single-family homes and higher-density residential uses, and the need for missing middle housing, an umbrella term used to describe the various housing types that fit between single-family homes and mid-rise apartments.
Here's the latest on Springfield's plans for a soccer stadium. It's been a year since Springfield signed on to a deal with United Soccer League to explore bringing soccer and a dedicated soccer stadium to the Queen City. With the 2026 FIFA World Cup being held in Kansas City, set to bring additional soccer fans to Missouri, the city continues to look at bringing more of the sport to the Southwest region. In December 2024, Springfield City Council approved an agreement with the USL for a feasibility study to bring men's and women's professional soccer teams to a town next to Hammond's Field at 1109 East Trafficway Street. According to its website, USL is the largest professional soccer organization in North America. It includes teams such as Phoenix Rising, South Carolina, and the Carolina Ascent FC. The USL is seen as the second-tier league compared to the MLS. The initial agreement called for a study period to last a year. So what's the status? The city's Director of Workforce and Economic Vitality, Amanda Ohelson, said the agreement has automatically rolled into a year-long extension, something that the initial documents included as an option. The agreement passed by council last year established a cost-share partnership with the city, would pay up to $75,000 towards a 50-50 split on the study. She said this amount has not been exceeded. She told the News-Leader she could not speak about USL parts of the deal or the certainty of building a soccer stadium in Springfield, but said all of the initial indicators have been positive. Every indication points to that there are very favorable conditions here, that there's a type of support structure, that there's a type of interest, that there's a type of demand that makes this project potentially viable. She said Springfield is a business-friendly place with a focus on quality of place and bolstering of downtown and tourism, as laid out in the Forward SGF Comprehensive Plan, which are all things that make it attractive to USL. While a stadium is a focal point of discussion, USL letters of intent have mentioned exploring the idea of a real estate development project that would result in a multi-purpose sports and entertainment district in the Springfield anchored by the stadium. The letter also indicated the stadium would have a minimum of 5,000 seats, with the availability to expand to 10,000 seats, according to previous newsletter reporting. Being able to reinvest being able to stimulate reinvestment in our critical corridors, to create job, to stimulate capital investment, and to bring new activity into already successful areas is one of the things that this project would really help us accomplish. Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce Matt Morrow said at a media roundtable that these types of amenities not only have their own economic impact, but also attract the retail and talented workforce that is more likely to stay and build roots in community that has more diverse offerings. Under the agreement, the stadium would be home to a men's soccer team in the USL League One, the second tier for professional soccer in the U.S., and the women's team to compete within the second tier of the USL Women's Professional Competition structure. The USL would have a sole discretion on such decisions. The initial agreement has included the city making its best effort to negotiate a lease agreement with Missouri State University to the USL. It could use Plaster Stadium while the soccer stadium is being assessed or developed, while the document noted that this would commence with the 2026 USL League One season until the stadium is complete. She said these negotiations have not occurred to date, and there are no plans for USL to begin playing in Springfield next year. She said that this is a typical option to the soccer organization like to have on the table, but is not a certainty. If a stadium is potentially developed, she said it would be up to USL to decide whether they want to bring a team to Springfield ahead of the stadium's opening as an interim venue. Former quarry landfill site could require extra work. While the feasibility exploration moved into its second year, she said the work can now turn to more of the nitty-gritty details of the potential stadium, like site configuration, layouts, and cost. Part of the work is also engaging with the community to explore local interest in the sport itself. As part of the goal, the city and USL hosted a watch party on November 18th at Molly's Pub and Patio to bring together those wanting to follow along with the U.S. Soccer's men's national team match. The study is particularly focused on the city-owned lot at the owner of National Avenue and Trafficway Street, which is the former site of quarry and a landfill. It is a really unique way for us to leverage public control assets to bring in new partners. This is a great opportunity for us to look at public-private partnership and leverage those local public investments into something new to the community that's going to attract not only tourists but also continue to support our citizen. The property began being eyed for the stadium, provided tons of rock for area construction for decades in the late 1800s through 1960s, when it became a landfill for a short while after purchasing the property along with other surrounding lots to develop. Jordan Valley Park in mid-2001, there were several plans to redevelop the area that ultimately did not pan out until now, the spot has remained a green space park known as the Commons at Jordan Valley. The quarry continues to exude methane gas from decaying diseased elm trees that were buried there in the 1970s, and monitoring wells and collection systems remain in place. A preliminary geotechnical engineering report of the site was completed in July 2024 ahead of the agreement with USL. The report recommended either installation of a ground improvement system or a replacement of portions of the existing fill to address site limitations, and noted that some of the possible options have been used at other stadiums, including Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Colorado and Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas.
I didn't move my thing. Where was I? Oh no.
Do you want me to do it?
I lost my place because I got distracted. Can I do this one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Four-legged farm friends. If you've been searching for the fluffy, photogenic Highland cows everyone's obsessed with, you'll find them at a perfect picture pony. You've never seen more personality in a cow than the miniature Highland crew at Perfect Picture Pony in Stratford, Missouri. The business all started with Christy Stockwell's miniature horse, Whiskey. After she got her LLC, tragedy struck when a neighbor's 3 dogs attacked him, leaving him with a 10% chance of survival. It took months of extensive daily care. I almost quit the business, but I was sitting on my porch one day and I was watching him out in the field and thinking, if he didn't give up, why should I give up, Stockwell says. While Whiskey healed, Stockwell's husband suggested adding miniature cows to the business. Today, her photogenic herd includes Remy, Stella, Steel, Georgia, Maverick, and Goose, and this spring, Whiskey finally made his photo shoot debut. The business quickly expanded beyond 417 land. Her Brews with Moose events, where guests sip local beer and snap selfies with her cows, now take place in Kansas City and Bentonville, in addition to where the event started at 4x4 Brewing Company in Fremont Hills. The animals are one of the best parts of Stockwell's day. They're surprisingly social and love to be brushed, petted, and spoiled with treats. They're really just like big dogs, she says. Honestly, they might be better. They don't mess up your house. Each one has a distinct personality, from attention-loving Georgia to Ruby, an 8-year-old Angus, who, though double the size, requests the exact same treatment as the miniature Highlands. As she looks ahead to events in Herman and beyond, Stockwell's main goal remains to keep creating joyful, truly original experiences that bring people closer to animals and each other. My goal is to continue to get creative and bring the community more fun and unique events, she says. Now I got you.
No, I thought there was more. Missouri Appeals Court rewrites ballot proposal to clarify a yes would end rights to abortion. A Missouri appeal court rewrote the language for a proposed abortion ban set to appear on the November 2026 ballot after the judge concluded Thursday the previous wording drafted by Republican Secretary of State Denny Hoskins was riddled with errors. The judge found both the ballot language and the summary statement that will be posted at polling places failed to sufficiently advise voters that the proposed amendment would repeal and replace the Reproductive Rights Amendment voters passed in November 2024 to legalize abortion. The new ballot language, certified by the Missouri Court of Appeals, reads, "Shall the Missouri Constitution be amended to repeal the 2024 voter-approved amendment providing reproductive health care rights, including abortion through fertility viability, allows abortion for rape and incest under 12 weeks gestation, emergencies, and fetal anomalies, allowed legislation regulating abortion, ensuring parental consent for minors' abortions, and prohibit gender transmission procedures for minors." West District Court of Appeals presiding Judge W. Douglas Thompson and Judge Thompson Chapman and Janet Sutton filled the opinions less than 24 hours after hearing arguments in their court Wednesday afternoon. Hoskins, now rejecting ballot language in part, asked if voters wanted to repeal Article 1, Section 36, approved in 2024, allowing the abortion for medical emergencies, fetal anomalies, rape, and incest. Attorneys for Dr. Anna Fitz-James, who filed the lawsuit, picked the statement apart, scrutinizing the assumption that the voters would know what Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution is, the exclusion of 12-week gestation limit for survivors, as well as the misuse of semicolon, which could be interpreted to mean citizens would be newly gaining these abortion rights. The appeal court agreed with them on all three counts. The judge also rewrote Hoskins' initial ballot language that asked if voters wanted to guarantee women's medical care for emergencies, ectopic pregnancies, and miscarriages. The appeal court found that the wording to be misleading because while the proposed amendment would prevent the state from interfering with an individual's ability to access such care, it does not guarantee the care itself. With bills filled already threatening prosecution against providers and patients, it is crucial that Missourians know that they are being asked to end the protection for reproductive health care that would just pass in the last general election. Tori Schaefer, Director of Policy and Campaigns for the ACLU of Missouri and an attorney for Fitz-James, said in the statement Thursday. Fitz-James also argued that proposed amendment violates a statute that prevents ballots measuring from encompassing more than one subject. She argued that the gender-affirming care is a different subject from the reproductive health care. The appeal judges agreed with the lower court's assessment that the proposed amendment passes constitutional muster and does not violate the single subject rule. Because gender transition surgeries or hormones therapies may affect the ability to reproduce, gender transition surgeries and hormone therapies may be connected or incident to reproductive health care. Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway in the statement Thursday evening said she disagreed with the court rewriting the language and adding there was no legitimate reason to displace it, but she called the decision to keep the measure on a ballot a decisive victory. Abortion right groups have accused lawmakers of including the ban to win over more voters. Gender-affirming health care for minors is currently banned in Missouri, though a challenge to the law is before the state Supreme Court. But they disagree with how Hoskins worded this part of the language, which initially asked if voters wanted to prohibit sex change procedures for children. The judge said that this wording incorrectly attempted to use the words gender and sex interchangeably. The court also rewrote the ballot summary to reflect the new ballot language. A new law passed this year allows the Secretary of State 3 attempts to write a fair ballot language. Hoskins has so far used 2, but the appeals court ruled Thursday that he wouldn't be given his third try at the wording. The latest decision could be appealed to the Missouri Supreme Court. The proposed constitutional amendment was drafted and approved by Missourian Republic's supermajority in May. A lawsuit over the initial ballot language, which failed to state the amendment would ban abortion, was filed in July by Fitzjames. Fitzjames, who submitted the language for the Reproductive Rights Initiative petition, said the latest amendment was intentionally deceptive. While abortion up until the point of fetal viability is a constitutional right in Missouri, because of the Abortion Rights Amendment voters approved, only several dozen abortions have occurred as legal battles over abortion regulations that remain in the state statute play as out in the courts.
Nixa moves forward with plans for skate park trails on Century Farm. Nixa has big plans for the Family Century Farm, including a walking trail and a possible future event venue. The Parks Department is also in the early stages of planning a skate park after years of interest from residents. By Zoe McIntyre. Nixa City Council approved a 5-year capital improvement plan, CIP, with funding budgeted to begin early work on 2 long-discussed park projects, the Eoff Family Century Farm Park and a new skate park. Both projects received earmarks of $250,000 in the CIP. December 9th, Nixa's Director of Parks and Recreation, Matt Krause, said the city will put out a bid for a contractor to begin developing the farm park after January 1st. The skate park is still in its early design phase. Members of the Eoff family donated 105 acres of farmland to Nixa in 2 roughly even parcels split by Gwynn Road, Route AA. The city acquired one portion of the land in 2018 and another in 2020, according to records from the Christian County Assessor's website. Nixa has several amenities planned for the north half of the property, including a trail system and a possible future event venue and river access. Krause hopes the trail will someday connect to the Ozark Greenway system in Greene County. The park may be open to the public with a walking trail completed in 2026. It will start off fairly low-key, but the idea of getting people on the property is the most exciting part, Krause said. Future park site includes forest and water. The Eoff Century Farm belonged to the family since the 1880s, according to Krause. 2 brothers from the family donated the property on the condition that it would become a park. Additionally, the city must preserve 2 structures on the site, a barn and a house, or build the structures back in likeness, according to the family's wishes. Records from the Christian County Assessor's site indicate that the barn was constructed nearly 100 years ago in 1927. There's still a lot of debate and a lot of ideas of what we could do with that space, whether the barn becomes more of an event center or it could just be built back as an open-air pavilion, Krause said. The Parks Department plans to open the site with a walking trail in 2026. The department has planned about 1 linear mile of trail for the park. There will also be benches, picnic tables, and about 35 to 40 parking spaces on a gravel lot. In total, Krause estimated that the development of the Eoff Family Century Farm Park could cost $15 to $20 million and take over a decade to build out. Eoff Family Century's Farm Park's walking trail will pass through forested land bordered by a section of the James River. Ozark Greenway's Ward Branch Greenway and Kansas Extension multi-use path terminate on the other side of the river, roughly 1 mile northwest of the Century Farm. Ben Tegler, Executive Director for Ozarks Greenways, said Nixa's new park presents an opportunity for the city to connect to walking trails in Greene County. That's the vision I see, Tegler said. It's an idea that makes a lot of sense and it's worth exploring. The Ozark Transportation Organization's interactive online map shows that in the future. Ozark Greenway's plans to build trails following the James River and Farm Road 141 into Christian County. The biggest obstacle is the river. How are you going to get across or get through the river? Krause said. That will be one thing that we have to tackle at some point, on how we can connect up there. Developing a plan and having, some ideas on how to do that will be the big plan moving forward. Ozarks Greenways does not have a current plan or funding in place to achieve this. However, Tegler said there is precedent of crossing the major waterway in other Ozark Greenways developments. The vision is that we'd connect Nixa to the greater system, Tegler said. He referenced the Chadwick Flyer Trail development that will someday link neighboring Ozark to Springfield. Nixa's 5-year CIP also designates $250,000 towards launching the development of a skate park. Cross said some members of the Nixa community first approached the city about this project in the early 2000s. There was a skate park committee made up of community citizens that really wanted a place for kids to skate and things in town, he said. They did some fundraisers, there were several grants written. The city did not receive any of those grants, and Krause said the energy around the project slowed down over the years. However, there was still desire for a skate park in the city. Nixa is now in the very early design phase of a skate park, according to Krause. Rotary Park on McCroskey Street is being considered as the future site. The idea is to remove a small playground and sand volleyball pit to make room for the skate park. Krause said the city could construct a new volleyball pit at Nixa's community center. The site of the Rotary Park lends itself to the design of L, or kidney bean-shaped skate park, Krause said. It would be above ground and could be as big as 60 by 100 feet in dimension. Nixa is partnering with Joplin-based American Ramp Company, which has designed skate parks in Missouri as well as in other states and countries.
Rob Reiner, wife Michelle Singer's son was responsible for their deaths. An arrest was made Monday in the killing of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer. Their son Nick Reiner was taken into police custody December 15th and booked for murder. According to Los Angeles Sheriff's Department records reviewed by U.S. Today, the acclaimed Hollywood director and actor was killed alongside Singer in their California home Sunday night, December 14th. Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonnell says in the press conference Monday, police now say Nick Reiner was responsible for their deaths. On the leafy, shaded street where the Reiners lived in the exclusive Los Angeles Brentwood neighborhood, dozens of journalists gathered at the home's front gate on December 15th. A private security guard stood watch. A solitary bunch of flowers and a candle had been left at the gate as a helicopter and a drone flew overhead. Nearby workers at the neighboring property watched the growing crowd of reporters with curiosity. A worker approached the Reiners' gate and began wiping it clean as anchors filmed pieces of camera and waited for fresh news on what happened to the Reiner, 78, and Singer, 68. In an earlier press conference Sunday, December 14th, the LAPD said the Robbery Homicide Division would investigate through the night. Authorities confirmed that they were obtaining a search warrant to conduct a full crime scene investigation, but they did not comment on the injuries sustained by Reiners. A representative for Reiner has not yet responded to U.S. Today's request for comment. Follow the page for updates. Kate Hudson says Reiner touched so many millions globally with his art. Kate Hudson, who starred in Alex and Emma alongside Luke Wilson, remembered Reiner as someone who touched so many millions globally with his art. Rob was one of the greats, inspiring so many of us with the ability to craft films that are humorous, powerful, and inspirational. He knew no genre, only great storytelling, she said. He was loving and kind. I feel so lucky to have worked with him, know him, laughed with him, and shared moments with him. And Michelle. Ones I will never forget. This tragedy is still being processed by our community, and our sadness is immense.
Mahjong fever. From glossy tile sets to sold-out socials, Mahjong has sparked a new community craze in 417 land. Mahjong traces its origins to 19th century China, where players used the game's 144 intricately decorated tiles in a fast-paced contest of strategy, skill, and chance. Like with anything else, regional variations developed across Asia over time, each with distinct rules and tile combinations. American Mahjong, the version now sweeping the Ozarks and not to be confused with Western Mahjong, has its own identity. First seen in the 1920s, the American game brought the tile count up to 152, adding a standardized card of winning hands and introduced a slightly different set of rules. Also sometimes styled as American Mahjong, or American Mahjong, it caught on quickly, particularly among upper-class women's circles. It's the kind of game played in country clubs and living rooms, usually with a batch of fresh cocktails nearby. Popularity spiked again in the 50s and 60s before slowly fading from modern-day culture. Now, a century after it first arrived on American shores, Mahjong is once again thriving, enjoying a renaissance spreading rapid fire across the world. This time, social media is driving its resurgence, attracting a younger generation to the game's mix of tradition, strategy, and style. If Mahjong feels particularly tailor-made for Instagram and TikTok, well, that's because it is. Not literally, of course, but the ornate tiles traditionally made of bamboo or bone, and in more contemporary fashion, acrylic or melamine, and decorated with everything from flowers and dragons to Chinese characters and candy, have always had an enviable glamour. In recent years, brands like Oh My Mahjong, a Dallas-based women-owned company, the Mahjong line, My Fair Mahjong, Charleston Mahjong Club, and others have pushed the aesthetic even further with multicolored racks, bold fonts, and limited edition designs that sell out quickly. Mahjong room ideas on Pinterest, videos tagged #MahjongTalk, and the broader Granny era trend have introduced the game to a younger demographic who may never have encountered it otherwise. At the same time, lockdowns during the COVID-19 pandemic gave people extended stretches of time at home, creating a perfect opportunity to pick up new hobbies, like games that happen to be both engaging and visually appealing. These factors help fuel a renewed interest in Mahjong, particularly in the South and on the East Coast, where the game has long had a following. Slowly but steadily, that revival continues to spread westward, and now the Ozarks are in the mix. A few people embody the Mahjong boom more than Stephanie Hornickel, a florist and quilting business owner from Ozark. Find her on Instagram at Bambird Social Club. She describes herself as the type of person who gets genuinely excited about things and who wants to share that excitement with others. After interviewing Hornickel, I can attest to that. I went into the conversation knowing next to nothing about Mahjong, and by the end, we were making plans for her to teach me. Hornickel dabbled in Mahjong here and there, learning casually with friends, but admits they never fully grasped all the rules. Determined to learn more, she began watching videos online. That's where she discovered Oh My Mahjong, a brand known for its stylish, upscale tile designs and luxury price tags. Soon, Hornickel had her sights set on one of the sets, and when she realized she could earn a discount by becoming a brand mentor, she jumped at the chance. From there, interest among her family and friends unexpectedly skyrocketed. Authentically and enthusiastically sharing about her new tiles on social media quickly drew attention, and before long, people in Hornickel's circle began asking her to teach them to play. "I can't get away from teaching now," she says playfully. Hornickel plays with 3 different groups weekly, but also offers private lessons 2 to 3 times per week and helps run the Brown Derby Open Play Socials. She even uses her Oh My Mahjong discount to buy tile sets to donate them to Springfield libraries, where requests for Mahjong are steadily increasing. One of the things I love about this journey is I've been teaching women I never even would have had a conversation with, Hornickel says. Our paths would never have even crossed. Local Mahjong 101. In Springfield's Roundtree neighborhood, the local bevy has become another hub for curious newcomers. The eclectic shop, curated with locally made art and other goods and owned by Andrea and Justin Petersburg, started hosting monthly Mahjong 101 classes in September, in partnership with Hornickel, naturally. The two women have known each other for years. Hornickel sometimes has quilted items for sale in the shop, and when Hornickel approached Petersburg with the idea that the local bevy could host classes, it was an immediate yes. Other than Brown Derby, Mahjong enthusiasts don't have many other places in town to play consistently. The local bevy's 2-hour 101 sessions cover fundamentals, then move into a few quick rounds. Participants don't need to bring anything. Tiles, racks, and teaching materials are provided. However, most will eventually purchase their own playing card, a key component of American Mahjong. There are a lot of rules, Peter Bark says. It's a complicated game, not at all as straightforward as other card or tile games, and nothing like the computer game millennials probably remember from their childhood. But once you learn how to play, everyone loves it. She adds, playing Mahjong is a wonderful way to get back to the tradition of board game nights and build community at the same time. It sounds so cliche, but this game lets you get away from your phone, from social media, and leave your problems behind for a little while.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. That was www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airways at 67 kilohertz on 91.9 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And thank you for tuning in.